Hello Steelers, and welcome to this very special showcase of my Warlord Epic Scale Napoleonics. These are the two box sets that Warlord sent me over a year ago now. I'm recording this in 2025. I got these in February of 2024, and I think I finished these in May of 2025. So it's just over a year of almost full-time painting. There was I've painted a few things in between as well, but this was the bulk of my painting of 2024-2025, and it is the two starter sets of the French over here. I'll talk a little bit more about what else is in here as well, and also the British starter set. So these are the two basic sets. This gives you a pretty good idea of what kind of stuff you can expect to have or to find in those starter sets. And just speaking personally, I think these are really good value for starting Napoleonic war games. Now I'll just quickly show you the British. There's 19 battalions in total here, obviously with some regiments of cavalry. Here there's the French. I think there's 14. I think I just counted up. Let me just double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so there's 14 French battalions. In the French, we've also got 3 guards in there. I think I must have got an extra sprue somewhere of French, because you generally just get 10 in those starter sets. The British over here, again, you get 10 in the starter sets. I've also got 3 Scottish in here, along with at least 1 Brunswicker, and also you get the 95th Rifles as well, and these are formed up in battalions as they were at Waterloo. They fought in lines for most part during the Waterloo campaign. I've also got as well a couple of resin light infantry as well over here. The British, I was also given a few extra heavy cavalry that are mixed in there, so there's a few more here than you would normally get. And I've also got, same with the French, I think I got an extra sprue of French heavy cavalry. I've also, as well, on top of that with the French, I've got 2 guard units, regiments of cavalry, the chasseurs de cheval, and also the grenadiers de cheval as well, so they're included on top of that. I've also got a few extra caissons for the French. 2 of these are 3D printed. One of them is a metal one, I think it's from Essex if I remember, and also a limber as well for the French here. With the British, I've got 2 ammo wagons. These came from Kiwi Cane, again 3D printed, and also a Warlord a limber as well for the Royal Artillery. On top of that, I've also got my Commanders-in-Chief, which is Wellington over here, and I've got Napoleon over here, and then I've got a bunch of extra spare figures that I basically turned into Brigadiers and also ADCs as well on top of that. Another thing I've got for the British, just to keep going through this, is the skirmishers at the front are 3D printed, and they came from, I think it's called Shadow Wolf. Yeah, Shadow Wolf did these 3D prints, so these are really nice. These are in scale with the rest of the forces, basically. They fit really nicely. As I say, these are all now formed up in their battalions. I've got various different bits and pieces here. I've got a couple of Dutch ones, which were wearing largely British uniforms with the shako, the Belgic shako. So I did a couple of those just in blue to turn things in. I haven't done the Swiss for the French, which are in red. They might come at some point. I mentioned, I've got 19 battalions here for the British, which is quite enough. I've still got actually 2 more British resin units to do, so that's going to take them up to 21. I probably don't need that many more at this point with the British, but the French, I probably need quite a few more. And as I say, I've currently got 14 battalions, including 3 guard. At most I'd probably need 3 more guard, but the rest of it I want to kind of make out of French, and probably push it up to around about 20-ish to give me a reasonably good big game of GDA2. I mean, I can do a pretty good game of it at this point. I've got more than enough cavalry on both sides. It's really just a few extra infantry here and there, and it's mostly for the French rather than the British. And as I say, it's either, I don't know whether it's worthwhile buying a new starter set or possibly just getting one of those brigade boxes that Warlord do. and then just adding those in for the French just to really bulk up the infantry side of things rather than anything else. As you can see, I've also got, you know, the French skirmishers down here. I've got more than enough of these guys. I've also got more than enough of the commanders and the ADCs. I'm still unsure as to what to do with those at this point, just because I haven't, you know, I don't know whether to flog these on or, you know, just hang on to them for a bit. Some of them I want to keep, some of them I might just get rid of. And I've got a lot of guns as well, so I've got the foot artillery and also the horse artillery for the French, and the 12-pounders for the guard, which are obviously useful. But there's about 10 or so of these guns, which is, again, that's even if you have batteries of maybe 3 guns, that's 3 batteries. That's probably more than enough that I'm going to need. And the same with the British as well. They've got their horse artillery, a couple of howitzers. These came from the Scottish boxes, which I forgot to mention. There's a couple of Scottish units in there, or did I mention them? If I did, I did. And then also we've got some actual just field guns as well, 9-pounders. So that is the entire lot at the moment. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to switch the camera up and we'll have a close-up look at some of these units, and then I'll do some flybys so you can see some of them even closer. But we'll start with the British, I think. So here we have our closer look at the Brits themselves. As I say, we've got 95th Rifle skirmishers. These are the ones that come with the Scottish boxes, so you get enough for there for 6 bases of those guys. And then I've also got these extra ones as well, which so came from Shadow Wolf Games. These are Epic Scale ones, and I just did these in red coats just to mix it up a little bit. And I've got the various units in here. I've got a couple of Guards units in there as well. Also some King's German Legion in there. We've got the 3 Scottish units in there as well, and a few mixers as well. I've got Brunswicks over here in the black, and then these light guys as well without the flags. And as I said, I've got the Dutch at the back here as well. And I know that the Dutch only carried 1 flag into battle, but they come with 2 flag bearers, so I just gave them an extra one. It's all right. I'm not going to rivet count that much. And then, of course, we've got the artillery at the back here. And as you can see, then we've got the regiments of cavalry. We've got some of the light stuff over here, or the medium cavalry, and then the heavy cavalry as well, the household cavalry, including the Scots Greys in the middle distance there, and a couple of others, dragoons and various hussars and things mixed in. Just to add to the mix, as I said, I've got the wagons here, the ammo wagons. These are perfect for caissons for GDA2, which you know, are used throughout the game. And then we've also got various guns as well. 4.5 inch howitzers. There's old Nosey himself, Wellington at the back, and then his staff over here. So I've got loads and loads and loads of these extra figures. The reason for this is because when I was doing some of the cavalry, you end up with a few extra figures. What I should have done is really thought about it. This is quite early on, and I just basically rebased those and mounted them on individual bases just to give me a bit of a mix. I also bought a few extra metal figures as well in these guys from Magister Militum, and also from Essex Miniatures as well, just to give me some different ADCs. So I've just kind of mixed it up a little bit, and the Scottish commanders are in there as well. So it's quite a mix of different types over here, but as I say, there's probably way too many for any particular game. So I'm always trying to think of a way of using these guys in a different way. But that's it. That's the British units. As I say, I think there was 19 in total I'd counted here. Let's just double check it. Yes, there is this. Each of these rows have got 5 battalions in. The 95th Rifles, I did those in 3 battalions. One of them is a very small battalion, but the other ones are made up of 4 bases each, with the last one there just being made up of 2 bases, a tiny battalion basically in either GDA2 or Black Powder as well. I do have a bunch more of the, I've got the entire Brunswick contingent infantry, but I just haven't painted them yet. I've just done 1. That's enough for the moment. I will be adding to them. And as I say, I've also got 2 other resin units as well, which are the light infantry that were there in the stovepipe shakos. So they're from the Peninsular War. And there was only a couple of units that actually used them in at Waterloo, so I'm going to paint them as those at some point in future. So I will get an extra couple of battalions out of the British at some point in future, and as I said, the Brunswicks will also increase in size as time goes on. But at the moment I'm painting Prussians, so I kind of come away from the red coats just for now. And here is the French army in a little bit close up, and again here we've got Napoleon and a couple of his staff. This is just a CNC marker, and we've got the infantry battalions. As you can see, this is a mix of both light and line. I've actually marked, I didn't show you before, but I've marked on the bottom of each of these so I know exactly. So that's the 1st battalion of the 21st line, for example. I've also got light infantry in there as well mixed in. The French light and line infantry are very similar in uniform, especially at this scale anyway. It's very small things like just like the shako plates and things like that that's different. So I've just basically done a mix of those. The French, you also get them in greatcoats as well. Half of the battalions are in greatcoats. What I've actually done for a couple of battalions is I've broken them up and I painted some of them all in greatcoats, like this one over here, and then I've used the other half and mixed them up and painted them in their tunics as well. So what I might do at some point in future is when I get the new sprues for the French is probably just do them in their tunics. I'm not so keen on the grey coats and the mix of them. I prefer the guys in tunics. I like the grey coats because they kind of break up the colour of the French, but I also just like that solid block of blue basically. We've also got the, as I say, the Imperial Guard down here, 3 of them. So I've done 2 of them the Grenadiers and the other one as the Chasseurs of the Guard. So you know, another box of Imperial Guard would work really well and just really double up their size. I don't really need much more than probably 6 battalions of Guard. Nobody does, I don't think. And we've got the Skirmishers, the Voltigeurs all down here, so these are a good mix of figures as well. And again, way more than I need for any game of GDA 2. I was even thinking, I've been mounting, for the most part I mounted 4 figures on a base. What I might actually do at some point is go back and break down some of these 4 figure bases and actually stick them on other bases and then increase the number of figures on there from 4 to 5, just to reduce the number of bases there is, because I don't really need them that many. But yeah, it's just something I'm thinking of doing, and it's something I possibly, if I'd have calculated it properly when I started, it's something I would have done and probably something I'd do in future if I was going to do this again. Guns, I mentioned before, you know, we've got way more guns here than I really need. So for the horse artillery, we've got 8 guns there, so that's almost 3 batteries. Then we've got almost the same here. We've got, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8 and 11 field guns there. So again, that's coming up to 4 batteries pretty much. And then we've got the battery of 12 pounders. I mean, you can never have too much artillery, of course, but you know, that's quite a lot as it is. In the cavalry, as you can see, we've also got the Imperial Guard cavalry. These were given to me as a present for my 50th by Dr. Kenyon. So thank you very much if you're watching this, Dave. These are taking pride of place here. And then we've got, again, a mix of light horse and also heavy horse as well at the back. Some carabiniers. I've got a couple of regiments of cuirassiers, which are my favourites. I've got the lancers here. I may add more French cavalry. I do like the lancers, the light cavalry. A couple of sprues of those wouldn't go amiss, I don't think. Just again, just to add a little bit more cavalry for the French and give them a bit of mobility. Because I picked up that free sprue. I think I just got it from the club. Somebody just brought it down, but it was French heavy cavalry. I would have preferred the light cavalry, but you know, never look a gift horse in the mouth. And then we've got the 3 caissons over here as well. And as I said, 2 of these are 3D printed. One of them is a metal one, which I think, if I remember correctly, came from Essex Miniatures. And you can see there's a pretty good. They look pretty good together. The 15mm stuff from Essex really fits with the Epic Scale stuff. Right, what I'll do is, again, I shall change over this camera and I'll take a fly across of all of these figures for you. As I said, I mean, this is a project that took just over a year, and I wasn't concentrating on it fully, but I was certainly, you know, plugging away at it massively, and it's been an absolute pleasure to paint them. They've been really interesting. There's a lot of detail on these figures. Every new release that Warlord puts out for the Epic Scale stuff, they have really improved on the detail of the figures and also the poses and the different choices that you get in them as well. And I'm looking forward to whenever they release some new Napoleonic stuff, which hopefully, Warlord, if you're listening, should be at some point soon in the future, I hope. And amazingly, I never actually ran out of red or blue paint during the entire time of painting these, because they're so small, I guess. That's the thing, really. I mean, there's, like I said, there's a lot of detail on them, but you can also, from a painting point of view, you can quite happily ignore some of it just because you don't really see it. It's a 3-foot rule. You know, when you're playing the game, you're just basically looking at blocks of red and blue when they're on the tabletop, even though they've all been painted and all, you know, all the little bits and pieces are painted on these figures. It's kind of madness, but you know, we're wargamers and that's kind of what we do. What I will say here is, again, as always, thank you for watching. If you are interested in buying any of the Warlord Epic stuff, and I really do recommend it, you can find a affiliate link down below in the video description, which just gives me a little bit of a kickback if anybody buys anything from Warlord, including their Epic stuff. But I do urge you, I mean, this is it's a great project to do and to basically work on over a long period of time, and you can play some great games with these figures, and these starter sets are fantastic just for that, if nothing else, I think. And I will leave it at that, and I will say thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next Storm of Steel video.